Hello everyone, Republic Jim here. I'm just getting ready to test out this four-season tent on a overnight. And just to be perfectly clear, it's sitting in the field right behind my garage, which is less than 20 yards away. I'm close enough, I still have Wi-Fi, so I'm not exactly roughing it. But I've had this thing set up for 1 week now. And in the course of that time, we've had some rain, some snow, some wind, and so far everything is staying bone dry inside. I think because it's been pretty breezy today, I'm going to put some more snow around the skirt there to keep the drafts out inside. But I've got a heavy cardboard floor in here. I might throw another piece in there, try and level it out a little bit and protect the floor when I put my cot in. But I'm going to just put a low folding cot in there and get my down sleeping bag and wool blanket and such, and to get down to slightly below freezing tonight. But they are saying it's supposed to be gusty winds for a chunk of the night and a chance of some rain and or snow overnight. So we'll see how that goes. But right now I'm going to get my bedding in there and get everything ready, and then I'll come back out here before bedtime and spend the night in the tent and make sure everything stays dry and see how this thing fares. So far the four-season part seems to be accurate. We still have somewhere around 6 inches of snow on the ground out here, and everything's doing well. So I'll check back in later and give an update on how the tent performs. All right, so it's kind of late. It's sometime after 11 o'clock, but finally got done watching a movie and walked the dogs, and now I'm out here to spend the night. I just earlier pulled the door open and left it that way, and I'll be closing it out, but I went ahead and opened up the vent on the northern side of it just in case we get wind from the south. So far it's a little colder than what they're forecasting, but fairly clear at the moment, and the moon is just coming up over the trees and likely to get fairly bright out here. But of course I'll be closed up inside here, so we'll see how much light actually makes it in. So I got my cot and doubled up a wool blanket underneath there. I also have a thin sleeping pad under there, and threw my 3-season down sleeping bag on there and my pillow. Then I have another wool blanket I'm going to use on top of that if I need it. I probably will, just depending on how cold it gets tonight. But I also have a secret weapon. I have a USB powered heated sleeping bag liner and a good power bank, so I'll be plugging that in, and that should work fairly well. And I need to get moved in here and get ready to call it a night soon. You can see snow down there in the other vestibule. It's definitely still cold in here, but I've got snow packed in around the skirt. So if the wind does kick up, then it should minimize the drafts in here. And yeah, it's still pretty cold in here, so I will be getting that heated sleeping bag liner going before I crawl into bed, and I'll throw my other wool blanket on here. But so far, the tent itself is done well. I'm still hoping that we'll get some snow tonight, but the way it's looking, I'm not real sure that'll happen. The forecast is saying sometime after 3 o'clock is most likely, so could be early morning before I actually see any snow hitting this tent. Well, not that I'll see it because I'll be inside, but yeah, we'll see if we get any snow, and if so, how this thing holds up. But anyway, I'm gonna get things set up and call it a night. So I have my sleeping bag liner plugged in, got my other wool blanket on top here, and just about ready to crawl in here and zip things up. I realized one thing I wanted to point out is that this cot does go from one end to the other end, and it's right up against the mesh, so I'm hoping that I don't have too much problem with condensation in here and stuff running down, because it definitely would make contact with my bedding. And that's one reason that I opened up the vent up there. Not that you can see it, but it should allow some ventilation. But I am noting that there's already a little bit of moisture in a couple of spots where there wasn't before. So I think just me getting in here and breathing is going to cause some condensation. In fact, I can see crystals forming on the inside here. So yeah, not real sure how that will play out. That is a concern, but considering that I have synthetics and wool, I should be in pretty decent shape regardless. But now I'm going to actually climb in here and shut the door out front, and it'll be a little crowded. So that's all for tonight, unless anything unusual happens. And I will check in the morning and kind of give a summary of how this tent performed overnight. Good morning. It's a little after 8:30 in the morning, and as you can see, there's very little light coming through this thing. The only light really is from the vent that I have open. There's a little bit I can see coming in around the snow skirt, but that's it. This thing does a great job of keeping everything blacked out. I didn't have any problems with condensation, so that was very good news. Actually slept fairly comfortably. The only issue that I had was I was on call for work and got called in. Well, I didn't have to actually go into work, but 1:30 I had to run back into the house and remote into my computer at work and deal with an issue, and so I didn't get back to sleep until I don't know, around 2:30. So that was a little frustrating, but other than that, when I came back out to the tent after dealing with that, it was in fact snowing lightly at that point. And this morning when I woke up, I was hearing weird noises and finally realized it was snow sliding off of the rainfly like that. So I'm not sure just how much accumulation there is, but this thing's not showing any signs of sagging or anything getting in. So you can see that one hole in the mesh there that came like that right out of the box. So that was less than ideal. I'm probably just going to patch that with some tape. But that's the only complaint that I've had with this thing so far. You know, as I said, my feet stretch right against the wall on the one side, and then on this side I have this pocket that's hanging right above my head because my head's basically up against the other wall. Ideally, I think with this tent you'd want to be sleeping just on a pad on the floor instead of on a cot, because of course the higher you are, the more the walls slope in. But it's not bad. It has enough room still. I will say that I really wouldn't call it a two-person tent, because technically 2 people could lay in here side by side, but it would be really crowded, just not ideal. And then you'd have to put your gear outside, and yeah, that's not really what you want when it's snowing. So yeah, for winter camping, I think I would strictly call it a one-person tent. But you know, aside from that, it works for what I want. And see, you can kind of, through the mesh there, kind of see the umbrella-like mechanism for the quick pop-up. And that's a pretty cool feature, which obviously makes it heavier, but it does work really well for just a quick setup for car camping or for sled or whatever. So yeah, that's just kind of some impressions on that. In just a bit I will get outside of the tent and see what it's looking like out there. But interior looking good. Yep. The floor is still dry outside in the vestibule area. Not any new snow in there. So yeah, all staying cozy and dry and not bad at all. Okay, it's blinding out there with new snow and the light hitting it. Had no idea it was that bright outside. I should also point out that it's well over 40 degrees inside the tent, so it's done a good job of retaining warmth. And yeah, the snow is piled up on the skirt here. Sealed that up pretty good. Yeah, that was a pretty comfy little setup there. And I'm not sure just how much we got, but looks like at least an inch. And still below freezing out here, so definitely warmer inside the tent, especially with the snow insulating around the base. But now I'm going to get my stuff and head back to the house and call an end to this overnight. So I will leave a link to my initial impressions on this tent and the Amazon link if anybody's interested. But I think it works pretty well for my use. So that's all for now. This has been Republic Jim. I'll talk to you later.